Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, I am the Introverted Reader, and today we're gonna do a tag video. Which is why I have my laptop right here. Usually I try and balance you guys on my laptop, but we're gonna do a tag today. And the tag we're doing, why can these ads just leave me alone? Oh, get out of the way. Thank you. Anyway, so the tag that we're doing is get to know the fantasy reader book tag, and which it says the get to know the fantasy reader tag, which booktuber the book pusher adapted from Bree Hill's get to know the romance reader tag. So that's, and where I get it from is the ZZ with Books blog. It's like they have a whole list of book tags that you can do. So I just randomly picked this one. So hopefully I'll get through this together. So the first question is, what is your fantasy origin story? How you came to read your first fantasy novel? Oh, okay. Well, I've always loved fairy tales. I'll say that ever since I was a kid. I don't know if I still have it in the house, but me and my sister, we owned this big, huge fairy tale book with all the fairy tales inside. Like, it was huge. It's like a big book full of fairy tales. And I remember reading that a whole bunch as a child. And obviously we loved Disney. So we had a whole bunch of Disney books as well. And and reading Narnia as well as a child, just, all those things, and just like loving and like, loving all those different worlds, and just, being the shy, introverted little kid that I was with no friends, the fantasy worlds were certainly there for me. So yeah, and I just, because me and my sister, we also had this like treasure chest box full of like Little Mermaid short stories that we would just read all the time. Good times. The second question is, if you could be the hero slash heroine in a fantasy novel, who would be the author, and what's one trope you'd insist be in the story? That's a good question. Well, if Professor Tolkien was writing today, I definitely would be begging him to put me in Middle Earth. Put me in Middle Earth, Professor, please. I don't care. I'll be a hobbit, I'll be a dwarf, I'll be an elf. I don't care. Just put me in Middle Earth. And what is one trope that I would insist be in there? I mean, I don't care. I mean, well, one trope that I hate is miscommunication. So I would be saying to Professor Tolkien, I'd be like, please, can my character just like be the most talkative? Like, if she has a problem, please let her talk about it with her friends. Let's not hold anything back. Like, miscommunication will not be a thing in my story. Thank you. So excuse me while I take a drink. If you haven't hydrated, you should. My throat is dry. Ooh. Okay, if you haven't hydrated, go do that. Anyway, so that's the question there. And leave your answers to these in the comments if you want. What is a fantasy you've read this year that you want more people to read? Oh, do you know what? I can't really put my finger on ones that I've read this year. I mean, let me see. To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods, she's back there. I would insist everybody read that, because it's beautiful. But one fantasy trilogy that I will push on everybody till the day I die is the Daevabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. Like, that whole trilogy, phenomenal. It's so well written, it's so beautiful, and like, they're pretty thick, like they're big thick books, but like, get the audiobooks for them and just like listen. The Daevabad trilogy, absolutely. Next question. What is your favorite fantasy subgenre, and what subgenre have you not read much from? Well, my sort of comfort zone, I guess, when it comes to fantasy is urban fantasy. So it's like still set within like the modern world, but there's still like a fantastical element to it, you know, like Legendborn or like City of Bones or like something along that round. And I love that. And also, you know, I love a good fantasy romance. You know I do. But one subgenre that I feel like I don't read enough of is what's it called? Sword and Sorcery, I believe it's called. So it's like, you know, like a Robert Jordan Wheel of Time sort of situation going on. And I haven't read Robert Jordan. I haven't read The Wheel of Time. If you all think that I should, you know, like a challenge to myself, put it in the comments. And as well, I read a couple Brandon Sanderson back in the day. I haven't gone near any of his books in a while. But yeah, leave suggestions for those sorts of things in the comments, please. I kind of wouldn't mind reading like maybe like a darker fantasy, you know, so like I don't know, like I don't know how to describe dark fantasy, but hopefully one of you know what I mean. Who is one of your auto-buy fantasy authors? Oh, well, I mentioned Shannon Chakraborty as well. And, you know, like I said, I love fantasy romance. So as of lately, some authors I love in that genre would be Carissa Broadbent, Carrie Maniscalco, Jennifer L. Armentrout. Like, those would be auto wins for me. And within the urban fantasy, sort of young adult section, it would be Tracy Dion, definitely. Dude, right, next question. How do you typically find fantasy recommendations? Mostly YouTube, mostly here, because I do follow a lot of people that that read fantasy books around here. So if I find one that I'm thinking, oh, I would really, really enjoy that, then I would have it in the back of my mind to read. So yeah, YouTube mostly, sometimes TikTok. I don't really follow a lot of like book talk people over there. I talk more about K-pop over there. But sometimes Instagram Reels, sometimes TikTok. So all of the above, really. Next one. What is an upcoming fantasy release you're excited for? Oh, I mean, my most anticipated was Oathbound by Tracy Dion, but I have that in my possession now. So Legendborn is right there. I'm going to be rereading that hopefully soon. Within the fantasy romance way, I would Jennifer L. Armentrout. The sixth book in From Blood and Ash, I believe, is coming out this year in either like June or July, I think. I don't really keep up with new releases, if I'm being honest. I need to look into those, but those are the ones I can think of at the top of my head. What is one misconception about fantasy you would like to lay to rest? That they're all the same. I feel like anybody that thinks about fantasy doesn't realize that there's so many different little subgenres in there. There's so many different facets to it. Like, it's not all just about, you know, castles and wizards and dragons and stuff. I mean, that's one genre. That's like your stereotypical, you know, like run of the mill, I guess. But there's so many different facets to fantasy, and believe me, if you look hard enough, you definitely will find something that you'll enjoy. Like, if you just give it a chance. And I'll say one thing that really annoys me when it comes to people reviewing fantasy around here, a lot of people use the words, oh, it just feels unrealistic. You're reading a book with a talking dragon and you want to talk to me about unrealistic? Like, is the realism in the room with us? No, it's not. It left. Like, I can't. Anyway, right, I think we're almost done. Oh, let me see. Okay, here we go. If someone had never read a fantasy before and asked you to recommend the first 3 books that came to mind as places to start, what would those recommendations be? Ooh, okay. Well, the person that answered these questions on the blog, they put The Hobbit as their first one, and I'm like, The Hobbit, absolutely. Because, you know, you've got a dragon, you've got adventure, it's a tale about friendship, really, essentially, The Hobbit, and just the Lord of the Rings in general, you know. I haven't read Lord of the Rings books yet. I know I'm such a fake fan, but I will read them this year. Hold me to that. Like, I'm going to read Lord of the Rings this year. It's going to happen. But anyway, The Hobbit, which I have read, I would recommend that to someone. I would recommend The Wizard of Oz. Because, you know, again, they're both children's classics, but I feel like you need to start with something that's easy to read and then work your way up. So, like, The Hobbit, Wizard of Oz, and The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Again, they are all children's classics, but I feel like anybody could read them, if I'm being honest. And like I said, I feel like it's a lot better if you've never delved into the fantasy world before. I definitely feel like reading something that's just a simple fantasy, fun adventure story, like one of those, then, you know, that's that would be my recommendation. But then again, at the end of the day, it's about what you enjoy. So if I were you and you want to get into a new genre, do a little bit of research and try and like find what subgenre within that you enjoy the most and just stick with that, really. Let me see. Oh, okay, I think this is the last question. Who is the most recent fantasy reading content creator you came across that you'd like to shout out? Well, I follow quite a lot of fantasy readers on here. Becca over at Becca the Books, Joel from Fictional Fates. They're not like brand new creators that I found recently. I've been following both of them for a while. And listen, if you want a good fantasy romance recommendation, go to Becca. And for anything else, I would go to Joel, if I'm being honest, because the two of them have certainly helped me with recommendations in the past. So thank you both for that. Love you. Anyway, so I think that's the end of the tag. So let me know down in the comments, I guess. This question. Okay. If you could be the hero, heroine in a fantasy novel, who would be the author? Who would you want to be the author of your fantasy novel? Let me know in the comments. So that's it for this tag. Just slide you under there. So that's it for this tag. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a great day or night or whatever time it is that you're watching this video. All of my socials are linked below. As always, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'm getting close to 400 subscribers, so if you are not subscribed yet and you like this and you're liking what you're seeing, then please feel free to subscribe. I would really love to hit 400 subs this year. That'd be great. And I'll also tag Becca and Joel down below so you can go and check out their channels because they're amazing. They really, really are. Anyway, so I'll love yous and leave yous. Bye.